Nero Claudius Caesar, also known as just Nero, is one of the most notorious emperors of Rome. He ruled Rome with an iron fist for 14 years, from 54 AD to 68 AD. He's the king of debauchery, the master of political murders, and the ultimate enemy of the Christians. But what he's most remembered for is his love of music, so much so that the rumor that he fiddled while Rome burned during the Great Fire of 64 AD still persists up to date. Are you ready to uncover the secrets of one of the most controversial figures in history? Hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey to the past. Who was Nero? Born as the nephew of the emperor, Nero's rise to power was a family affair. After his family's death, his mother, Agrippina, married his great-uncle Claudius and convinced him to name Nero as his successor. But as soon as he took the throne, just at the age of 17 years, he showed everyone who was boss by giving his mother the boot and taking control. He had a taste for the extravagant, a love for inappropriate behavior, and a knack for executing opponents and Christians. But what was his fate? Well, in 68 AD, faced with a rebellion, he committed suicide. Will he go down in history as a ruthless tyrant or a misunderstood ruler? Let's find out together. Early life and path to throne. Nero's birth name was Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus. He was the son of Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus and Agrippina. Agrippina was the great-granddaughter of the first Roman emperor Augustus. He received a royal education, learning from the great philosopher Seneca, mastering Greek and delving into philosophy and rhetoric. He was a true Renaissance emperor with a love for knowledge and a passion for power. But what kind of ruler did this education make him? Stick around to find out. Now, introducing the ultimate power couple, Agrippina and Claudius. After Agrippina's husband passed away, she quickly set her sights on her uncle, the Emperor Claudius. Using her charm and persuasion, she convinced Claudius to name her son Nero as his successor, pushing aside his own son Britannicus. And to seal the deal, Claudius offered his daughter Octavia as Nero's wife. Talk about a ruthless climb to the top, but will this power play pay off? Yet to find out. Claudius passed away in 54 AD, and it's widely suspected that Agrippina had a hand in his death, possibly by poisoning him. Nero, who was only 17 years old at the time, presented himself to the Senate to deliver a eulogy in Claudius's honor. He was then officially named Emperor of Rome, taking on the name Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. This young emperor, who just lost his father, had a lot to live up to and a lot to prove as he inherited the throne. Was he going to rise to the occasion or crumble under the pressure? Agrippina's influence. Agrippina, Nero's mother, was a powerful and controlling figure who wanted to influence her son's rule. She was not pleased with the more moderate advice given by Nero's advisors, such as his former tutor Seneca and the commander of the Praetorian Guard Burrus. Their more cautious approach did not align with her own ambitious and aggressive style of governance. Nero and his mother Agrippina's relationship was like a soap opera, full of drama, tension, and unexpected twists. When Nero decided to be his own man and reject his mother's attempts to control him, Agrippina was not happy. She thought, if I can't control Nero, then maybe my other son Britannicus can be the emperor. But just as things were looking up for Britannicus, he died suddenly in 55, the day before he was to be proclaimed an adult. Many people suspected that Nero had a hand in his death, but he claimed it was just a seizure. Agrippina didn't give up that easily. She continued to stir up trouble and made Nero's life difficult, which led to him banishing her from the palace. Nero had a forbidden love affair with Poppaea Sabina, a beautiful and powerful noblewoman who was already married. But he was determined to make her his wife, and nothing was going to stop him, not even his mother's disapproval. Agrippina, always a troublemaker, stood in the way of their romance, and Nero saw no other solution but to eliminate her. In a shocking twist, Nero ordered his own mother's murder, paving the way for his marriage to Poppaea. Nero's reign. Nero was the ultimate party boy, known for his wild nights and extravagant lifestyle. But he wasn't all play and no work. He had a soft spot for the arts, sports, and helping other cities in need. He was a ruler who was loved by many, but as time passed, things took a dark turn and the good times turned into a reign of terror. Want to know more about the fiddling emperor? Stick around and find out. But after Agrippina's murder, Nero began to punish and execute those who dared to criticize him, or those who he saw as a threat to his rule. It was during this time that Nero's reputation as a cruel leader began to solidify. But who knows, maybe if Agrippina had lived a little longer, history would have remembered Nero as a musical genius and a compassionate leader instead of a mad tyrant. But alas, we will never know. Nero's behavior was becoming more and more erratic, and he had a habit of eliminating anyone who dared to criticize him. When Burrus died and Seneca retired in the year 62, Nero divorced Octavia and had her killed, then married Poppaea. Anyone who dared to speak ill of him faced severe consequences, like being exiled or even executed. One army commander was executed for bad-mouthing him at a party. Another politician was exiled for writing a book that made negative remarks about the Senate. As he continued to rid himself of any opposition, he consolidated his power and became an even more tyrannical ruler. The Great Fire. By 64, the scandalous nature of Nero's artistic antics may have begun to cause controversy, but the public's attention was diverted by the Great Fire. When the Great Fire of Rome broke out in 64 AD, rumors started swirling that Emperor Nero had ordered it to clear space for his grand palace, the Domus Aurea. And even though evidence points to an accident as the cause, Nero needed a scapegoat. Enter the Christians, a new and little-known sect at the time. With Nero's finger pointing at them, the brutal persecution of this religion began. But was it just a ploy for Nero to distract from his own misdeeds? Or did he really believe the Christians were responsible? Political demise and death. Nero was looking for ways to fund his lavish new palace, the Domus Aurea, and he wasn't afraid to get a little creative. He was getting richer, but the Roman people were getting poorer. He auctioned off government positions to the highest bidder, hiked up taxes, and even raided the temple's treasure. He even went as far as to devalue the currency and seize properties under the suspicion of treason. It was like he had a never-ending appetite for wealth and power. But little did he know, his greed would ultimately lead to his downfall. A revolt was brewing, and soon enough the people would rise against him. Will Nero learn his lesson and change his ways before it's too late? Only time will tell. As Nero's rule became more and more oppressive, the wealthy and powerful elite of Rome began to plot against him. In 65 AD, the Pisonian conspiracy was formed, led by a wealthy aristocrat named Gaius Calpurnius Piso. Along with other senators, knights, and even Nero's former mentor Seneca, they planned to overthrow Nero and crown Piso as the new emperor. But their plot was soon discovered, and many of their conspirators were executed, along with other wealthy Romans. But will this cause fear among the people? Let's see. Just 3 years later, in March 68, the empire started to turn against Nero as governors Gaius Julius Vindex and Servius Sulpicius Galba rebelled against his rule, citing his outrageous taxes and spending habits. They declared Galba as the new emperor, and support for him grew rapidly, even among Nero's own bodyguards. With the rebellion gaining momentum, it was clear that Nero's reign was coming to an end. Nero's reign was coming to an end, and he knew it. His tax policies had made him enemies left and right, and rebellions were brewing in the provinces. But instead of facing the music, Nero decided to hit the road and make a run for it. He planned to head east where his support was still strong, but soon realized that his loyal officers were not as loyal as he thought. With no friends or guards by his side, Nero faced the reality that his days were numbered. As the Senate declared him a public enemy and ordered his execution, Nero knew it was time to say goodbye. But before he could do that, he wanted to make one last statement, and so he exclaimed, "What an artist the world is losing in me." And then, with the help of his trusty secretary, Epaphroditos, he took his own life. The end of the story for the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Nero's legacy. A fitting end for a man who loved the spotlight and the finer things in life. But at what cost? Millions of lives were lost under his rule. From the Great Fire of Rome to the persecution of the Christians, to his own mother's murder. With his downfall, the Julio-Claudian dynasty came to an end, and the year of the 4 emperors began, filled with disasters and horrors. But as history tells us, the memory of Nero's rule lived on, his name forever associated with tyranny and excess. So what do you think? Was Nero a misunderstood ruler or just another power-hungry dictator? Leave us a comment in the comments section below and tell us what your thoughts are. Well, that marks the end of our video. If you like this video, make sure to check out more on our channel or click the subscribe button on your screen now.